Welcome back to the Manc Entrepreneur YouTube channel, and in today's episode it's another question from one of you who watch the channel. Now again, I like to try and keep as much anonymity as possible, as I don't know how sensitive some issues are. So we're going to say that this is from a chap called Yuri. And the question is, I've got the screen over on this side has a question up. It says, hi Manc Entrepreneur, I have been stuck in a job since graduating a few years back and I hate it. I want to try something new or strike out on my own, but I don't feel qualified to do anything outside my current circle of competence. Furthermore, although I'm surrounded by people that would support any decision I made, it is in fact myself holding me back and my lack of self-belief. So I guess my question is multifaceted. How do I build up that self-confidence, and did you ever lack belief in yourself? What is your advice for someone who knows the standard 9 to 5 isn't for them but are unsure what their calling in business is? So that's a great question. In fact, I'm going to make a note of those so I don't not answer both parts. Now, the reason that I'm answering this question on the channel is because I know for a fact that question could be sent from hundreds of people, thousands of people who are feeling exactly the same. So Yuri, right now, please be aware that you are not alone in how you are feeling at this very moment. Now, to kick things off, how do I build up that self-confidence, and did you ever lack belief in yourself? Absolutely I did, because when I first went self-employed, I was a consultant. I was an e-commerce consultant specializing in the marketplaces such as eBay and Amazon. Now, whilst in the first business that I worked for, I saw massive success, and part of me was always like, was it me or was it just the circumstances that I was around? I had to go and do it again, which is when I worked for the second business. And then I grew their revenue 10 times in 6 months, and that's when I sort of realized, yeah, I know what I'm doing, I know how this works. However, and that's great, so I knew that I knew about the e-commerce thing, about eBay and Amazon and how that all fits together. The problem came in when I was a consultant, because my career started very early in an industry which was quite young, and at the time, at 23, I was the youngest e-commerce consultant in the UK. By a long way. And that gives you many different challenges. And one of those challenges is that people don't think you could possibly know your shit. They think you're a chancer, or that you just, you're you're messing about, basically. And that is what I did lack belief in. Whilst I knew that I knew what I was talking about, I did lack the belief to be overly persuasive. I don't think it's the right word, but I absolutely, I had this sort of imposter syndrome where I was like, there's people who are consultants who, are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and ultimately, surely they know more than I do. What I then learned after that was it was all bollocks, because e-commerce was so young but moving so fast that anything that they knew from 5 years ago was now redundant. It didn't matter anymore. It was out of date. I knew what was going on right now, and I knew how to make that work for whatever it is that you are selling online. And it took some time, but totally, I had doubt in myself. And others doubted me as well when they would contact me, and I always I didn't try and avoid the question, but I'd never openly bring it up about how old I was. And for that reason, sometimes, and I mean, the beard helps. I look older than I am. I certainly used to. But it's one of those where if nobody asked, then there was no issue. But sometimes people would ask, and I'd tell them, and they'd look at me and go, what, you're only 23? How do you possibly know this? And then I'd have to tell them what I've been and done and what I know. But if you're trying to tell an old an older business guy who's been in business 30 years how to run his business, there's going to be a little bit of hesitation when you're 23. So absolutely, I had that lack of belief, and ultimately it was just through pure determination and perseverance that I was like, no, I do know my shit, and I will, increase your turnover by double, triple, whatever. I basically used to challenge people like, listen, try me. What have you got to lose? And it always turned out very well. I'm fortunate. I enjoyed what I sort of stumbled across by accident in terms of e-commerce. I enjoyed it. I understood it. I got it. I went out of my way to learn more and more about it in my own time, and that's what I think set me apart. But absolutely, how did I build up that self-confidence? By doing things. By putting myself out there and getting hands-on and knowing that I knew, when you take a business from mainly doing auctions, doing over $1 million a year on eBay, as well as Amazon and Play.com and their own website, and then you take a business which has been selling fashion online for over a year and had been consistently doing £2,500 to then doing £23,000 in 6 months. It's like I know what I'm doing. I know the steps that you need to take in your business in order to do that. So yes, how did I get over it? Just by going for it, just by turning up and showing up and letting my actions speak louder than my words. I also think that as I get older, I do care less what people think about me. What people say about me behind my back is genuinely none of my business, and I'm much happier that way. I don't care anymore if people think I'm too young or whatever. I think my record speaks for itself when it comes to that. Now, on to the more tricky question. For someone who knows the standard 9 to 5 isn't for them, but unsure what their calling is business-wise. Now, Yuri, I'm going to hazard a guess. You said, I've been stuck in a job since graduating a few years back and I hate it. So I'm going to guess that you weren't a mature student and that you are now maybe mid-20s, maybe late 20s, depending on how a few years is in your book. I apologise for Skype and my phone pinging. Apparently I'm in high demand right now. So I'm going to guess you're mid to late 20s, and with that being the case, my best advice for you is try whatever it is that takes an interest that you're interested in, because I do genuinely believe that if you start a business in something that you're interested in, it makes life a lot easier, because starting a business is hard enough as it is. If you hate the product, the service, the area that you're working in, it's only going to make it even harder. So do something that you enjoy would be my first advice. I would also say that if you're mid to late 20s, statistically you don't have a mortgage and you probably don't have kids, which means now is the perfect time to take risks. Your outgoings are probably at the lowest they will ever be from this point forward. I know mine were. 2 or 3 years ago, my outgoings were tiny, and now they have grown significantly. But with that said, now is the perfect time to take risks and to try things. And ultimately, you'll never know what you should be doing until you go and put yourself out there and give it a go. Whether you have a really keen interest in cowboy hats, or if you have you're fanatical about globes or family trees or whatever it might be, cheese, it doesn't matter. Anything around that interest, you will know something, or you will have an interest in something in a niche which is not entirely unique, and there's other people out there who want to know more or who want to buy something which you can facilitate. Whether you're selling a service, an informational product, or a physical product, it doesn't matter. Take the time to explore different avenues and see what you think works. You say that you're currently in a 9 to 5 and you hate it. I totally get it. I get it 100%. Utilize your evenings, your weekends, any free time you have, and spend it on building this business that you want to do. Utilize your free time, because Whilst building a business is hard, and like we said, building it into something that you're interested in will make it a lot easier. Building a business when you have no money coming in is even harder. In fact, it's ridiculously 10x it. It's 10 times harder, at least. So by having the 9 to 5 there, and yes, you hate it, you have income coming in, and that will support you, enable you to then explore different avenues. You might just throw £50 at some advertising to see what sort of interest you get for this product idea that you've got, or this website that you want to try and drive some traffic to. Utilize your spare time to the best of your ability. Stop watching Walking Dead and Game of Thrones and all those things that, I've ranted about before. You are in the perfect time of your life to take a risk. I did, and it worked for me, and I'm sure it can work for you too. The first time that I tried to start a business, it didn't work. It failed very, very quickly. And the same might happen to you. But is it a failure if you learn something from it? I don't think it is. And I learnt loads when I tried to launch my first business. And that's what helped me make the second time round a much bigger success. So Yuri, to sort of summarise, I would say, yes, it's normal to have confidence issues. Don't let it hold you back. Put yourself out there and believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, who else is going to believe in you? Secondly, do something that you're interested in and take risks. Utilise your own time right now, your evenings and weekends, and try it. Domain names and hosting has never been cheaper. You could get a website up in 12 hours for less than $20, and away you go. You can't possibly lower that barrier to entry anymore. Try. Put things out there. Put together a plan, and do something that you enjoy. Ultimately, because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to love it, and if you don't love it, it will never be as successful as it could be. I hope you found this useful, Yuri. And if you're watching this right now and you've got similar questions to Yuri's, I hope you found this useful as well. If you have, hit that like button. If you have a question for me along those lines, let me know, either in the comments below or message me directly like Yuri did. Just, reach out. I'm more than happy to spend 10, 15 minutes, however long it takes, to answer any questions you have, or in any way that I can help, I will. So with that said, enjoy the rest of your day. Hit that subscribe button if you are new, and I'll catch you, as always, in tomorrow's video. Thank you for watching, and thank you for the question, Yuri. It's a good one.